Dear student, today I am going to take the differences between verification and validation. So first, before entering into this, what is verification? So the verification means before the product is software product is developed, we are doing the verification process. So the whether the requirements are correct, whether the design is correct, whether the code is correct, everything is correct. So this is called as a verification. So after the software is developed, then we go to test the software. So that is called as a validation. Okay. So the verification means, are we building the product right? So that is the concept. But in the case of validation, after the developed the software, so whether the software is right or not, we test the product. Okay. So that is the different thing. So totally verification is different from validation. So after the verification we are doing the validation. Okay. Then so now validation is the process of checking whether the software product is up to the mark. So in a validation, we test whether the product fulfill the customer requirement. So that is called as a validation. Okay. So here it checked what we are developing is the right product. Are we building the right product is called as a that is the code word for the validation. Okay. So now we are going to what are the major difference between the verification and validation. Before entering into this topic, I want to tell about the what is verification, what is the validation. Verification means before the software development, we are verify whether the design is correct, code, program, document, everything is correct, whether it is right or wrong. So that is the kind of verification. Okay. But in the case of validation means, after developed the software, we go to test whether the software is correctly work or not. So that is called as a validation. So that is the major difference between the verification and validation. So remember that this is the basic concept about the verification and validation. Okay. So if you understand this the basic thing, so now the difference is very easy. First we check the document, design, code and program, because before the software development. After the software development, we testing the validating the actual product. So this is called as a static testing, is dynamic testing. Here it does not include the execution of the code, because the software not developed. That's why we are not execute the program. But in the here, after the software is developed, so that's why we execute the code. Okay. Here already I told you software is not developed. That's why here we are using the review, walkthrough, inspection and test checking. But here it consists of a different type of test. Validation consists of a different type of test: black box testing, white box testing and non-functional testing. Okay. Here, so the verification whether the software conform to specification or not. In a validation, whether the software meet the requirement of the customer, whether it is fulfill the customer requirement or not. It can find the bug in the early stage. Already I told you. So it's a before the development. So that's why we find the bugs in the early stage of the development. So here after the verification, we are going to find the bugs. In a verification, the goal of the verification is the application and software architecture and specification. Specification means, so we specify the requirements, architecture, software, everything. But in the case of validation, we fully developed the product. So at this at that state, stage we take the product and we execute it. But in the case of verification, there is no product. It's a blueprint exist. What we will develop. So that is the blueprint. So we verify the blueprint. Okay. So in a verification, it verified by the quality assurance team, but in the case of validation, it will be developed by the testing team. Okay, so already I told you. So first we are doing the verification. Before validation, we are doing the verification. After the verification, go to the validation. Okay, checking here there is no product exists because it's a blueprint of the to be developed the product. That's why we check the document and files. It is performed by the human being, but here it is performed after the software development. We have a one product that will be developed by the that will be performed by the computer. Okay. The verification refer to the set of activity that ensures software correctly implement specific function. Here it test whether it is implement the specific function. Here a set of activities that ensure the software that has been built traceable to customer requirement, whether it fulfill the customer requirement. After a valid and complete specification, the verification start. So after the specification, verification start. But in the case of validation, after the product is developed, we verify the whether the product is valid or not. Okay, so verification is a prevention of error, but in the case of validation, deduction of errors. Okay, in a verification is also termed as it's a white box testing or static testing. It's also called as a black box testing or dynamic testing. Here 50 to 60% it find the verification, it find the 50 to 60% defect, but here it find the 20 to 30% defect. Verification is about process standard and guideline. Validation is about the product. Okay, student. Today I take the what are the various difference between the verification and validation. So if you have any kind of doubt, please kindly give the doubt in the comment section. Thank you, student.